Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. وحياكم الله مساءكم الخير. So today's lesson is our final lesson, درس الأخير والدرس السابع, الشرط السابع, should I say. It's the seventh condition, and inshallah ta'ala we'll be finishing here. First and foremost, before we start, who can give me the conditions which we've studied so far? Not an explanation, just the conditions as it is. Who knows? What was the first condition? Second condition? Yaqeen. Third condition? Fourth condition? Sidq. Fifth? Sixth? Inqiyad. Well done. And today's al-qabul, acceptance. للرد. يعني منافي للرد, which basically translates as that which repels, rejecting. Some of the scholars have had an eighth condition, but that's not in our book today, just for those that are wondering. And today's lesson is primarily to do blind following. And we're going to touch on blind following slightly as well. Jazakumullah khair. So دليل القبول قوله تعالى, and the evidence for قبول, acceptance, is the statement of the Most High, وكذلك ما أرسلنا من قبلك في قرية من نذير. And we did not send before you any warner, min nadhir, into any city except إلا قال مترفوها, except that the affluent, those that were, high in luxurious sort of commodities and what have you, إلا قال مترفوها إنا وجدنا آباءنا على أمة وإنا على آثارهم مقتدون. Indeed, we found our forefathers upon a religion, and we are upon their very footsteps, following them in that. وقوله, and likewise the statement of the Most High, إنهم كانوا إذا قيل لهم لا إله إلا الله يستكبرون. And verily, when it was said to them, say La ilaha illallah, yastakbirun, they will puff themselves up in pride. وَيَقُولُونَ أَإِنَّا لَتَارِكُ آلِهَتِنَا لِشَارِعٍ مَجْنُونَ. And they will, respond in saying, أَإِنَّا لَتَارِكُ آلِهَتِنَا. Are we going to leave off our, deities for a mad poet? Obviously talking about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وَمِنَ السُّنَّةِ, and from the traditions of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, ما ثبت عن أبي موسى عن النبي, that which is affirmed from Abi Musa, مثل ما بعثني الله به من الهدى والعلم, من الهدى والعلم, the similitude of guidance and knowledge with which Allah has sent me with, or revealed through me. So this is actually a very good narration from the Sunnah. This parable he gives is very nice. Towards the end, we're going to mention it though. And he goes on to say, كَمَثِلِ الْغَيْثِ الْكَثِيرِ أَصَابَ أَرْضًا, is like abundant rain falling upon the earth. Yeah? I'm just reading the text for now. We'll get to the explanation after. فَكَانَ مِهْنَا نَقِيًّا قَبِلَتَ الْمَاءَ فَأَنْبَتَ الْكَلَاءُ وَالْعُشُبَ الْكَثِيرِ, some of which was fertile, soil that absorbed the water and brought forth vegetation, kala, and grass in abundance. وكانت منها أجاديب أمسكت الماء فنفع بها الله الناس. So another portion of it was hard and held the rainwater. It held the rainwater. And Allah benefited the people with it. فَشَرِبُوا وَسَقُوا وَزَرَعُوا, and they used it for drinking, fed the animals, irrigated the land for cultivation. وَأَصَابَ مِنْهَا طَائِفَ أُخْرَى إِنَّمَا هِيَ قَيْعَانٌ, وإنما هي قيعان لا تمسك ماء ولا تنبت كلا. And a portion of it was barren, not really anything there growing, which could neither hold water nor bring forth vegetation. فذلك مثل من فقه في الدين ونفعه ما بعثني الله به فعلمه وعلمه. So the first example given, this is just the text now, is of a person who understands. يفقه الدين, يفهم الدين, he understands. The first example is that of a person that understands the religion and gets benefit from that knowledge which Allah has revealed through me. The Prophet, peace be upon him, is saying that which Allah has revealed through me, and learns, i.e. this knowledge, and teaches it to others. وَمَثَلُ مَنْ لَمْ يَرْفَعْ بِذَلِكَ رَأْسًا وَلَمْ يَقْبَلْ هُدَى اللَّهِ الَّذِي أُرْسِلْتُ بِهِ. The last example is that of a person who does not care for it. He doesn't care for it and does not take Allah's guidance revealed through me. And this hadith is found in Muslim and Bukhari, muttafaq alayh. وَقَوْلُ وَكَذَلِكَ مَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ فِي قَرْيَةٍ مِّن نَذِيرٍ إِلَّا قَالَ مُتْرَفُوهَا. So we sent not a warner before you to any town except that the luxurious ones amongst them said, what we've just mentioned, يخبر جل وعلا ثناؤه أن الصنيع القريش ومن حولهم في ردهم دعوة النبي وإعراضهم عما جاء به من الحق هو الشبيح بالصنيع الأمم السالفة من أنبيائهم. So Allah informs us that the reaction of the Quraysh and those living around him at that time, i.e. the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, in their response to the call of the Prophet, their repudiation of the truth, how they rejected the truth he came with, is similar to the reaction of the preceding nations of their prophets, or the prophets likewise that came before us. والباعث لهؤلاء وأولئك هو التقليد للأشخاص والنهل. So the reason for this emanates from taqleed, blind following and imitation of people's creeds. قال الشيخ عبد الرحمن السعدي وكذلك ما أرسلنا من قبلك في قرية إلا قال مترفوها. So the ayah, we had not sent a warner before you to any town but that the luxurious ones amongst them said. And I want to get into that. So basically, taqleed, we're going to go into taqleed. What is blind following? We're just going to break it down really, really simply in terms of linguistically and shar'an. It's really simple. Yeah, listen to this. So taqleed, which means to blind follow, taqleed, which means to blind follow, is taken from the word qilada. It's taken from the word qilada. Qilada in the Arabic language means a necklace. That's what it means. Qilada is like a necklace or a collar which an animal wears. You know, like a collar a cat wears, or an animal in which you take around like a dog. It wears. It comes from qilada. Can you see the connection here now? Taqleed is taken from the word qilada, which means a necklace or a collar. Qilada. So that's its linguistic meaning. It's taken from qilada, a collar. But in regards to the shar' of Allah, in regards to the legislative meaning of taqleed, what does that mean? Ibn Taymiyyah breaks it down. So he goes on to say, هو قبول القول بغير الدليل. It's the acceptance of a statement without evidence. Is that clear? قبول القول بغير الدليل. It's the acceptance of a statement without any evidence. It's simple. Yeah? For example, you follow a particular way, and then someone says, no, it's X, Y, and Z. And you ask him the proof, and he says, there's no, don't worry about that. And you still follow him. What is that? It's taqleed. You blind followed him without any evidence. It's a basic example. And this is what happens to be an issue in this very mas'ala, in this actual, very issue. And he mentions a hadith here. Well, I brought forth this hadith. He acts upon the statement of another without proof. Yes. عن جندب ابن عبد الله البجلي قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, has said, من قتل تحت راية عمية. So whosoever is killed under the banner of blind following. يدعو عصبية, and he calls to, bigotry or tribalism. أو ينصر عصبية فقتلة جاهلية. Or he helps and somewhat calls to عصبية, tribalism or fanatic to a particular movement or whatever it may be. فقتلة جاهلية. Then he has died upon the death of Jahiliyyah. That's what the Prophet, peace and blessings, said. Yeah, this is Sahih Muslim. That's why blind following is very dangerous. Okay. And then he goes on, Abdurrahman al-Sa'di in his tafsir. A, منعموها وملؤوها الذين أضغتهم الدنيا وغرتهم الأموال واستكبروا على الحق. So he goes on to say, منعموها وملؤوها الذين أضغتهم الدنيا وغرتهم الأموال واستكبروا على الحق. So the very rich and those whom the glitter of life and wealth had somewhat come upon them have made themselves transgress and become arrogant in the face of truth. So, the people of those times there that lived that luxurious life, they became arrogant. They became arrogant. And, the worldly life of mass possessions and commodities of, high price and what have you, it led them to become like, arrogant and haughty. And then he brings the إِنَّا وَجَدْنَا آبَاءَنَا عَلَى أُمَّةٍ وَإِنَّا عَلَى آثَارِهِمْ مُقْتَدُونَ. And they mentioned, we found our forefathers following a particular way and religion, and we will indeed follow their footsteps. This was their response, the luxurious ones at the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. A, meaning, فَهَؤُلَاءِ لَيْسُوا بِبِدَعٍ مِّنْهُمْ وَلَيْسَ بِأَوَّلِ مَنْ قَالَ بِهَذِهِ الْمَقَالَةِ. So these individuals that said this, they weren't the first to say this. They were not the first individuals to come with this excuse. Yeah? Or this very statement. وَهَذَا الْإِحْتِجَاجِ مِنْ هَؤُلَاءِ الْمُشْرِكِينَ الضَّالِينَ بِتَقْلِيدِهِمْ لِآبَائِهِمْ. So this was the reasoning of the pagans at the time, those who were misguided and were upon blind following, لِآبَائِهِمْ, for their forefathers. This is their reasoning. الْمَقْصُودُ بِهِ اتِّبَاعَ الْحَقِّ وَالْهُدَى. So their reasoning of, what was mentioned, and they had gone astray, is not directed at following truth and guidance. Their reasoning was not directed at following the truth and the guidance. Yeah? And Shaykh Uthaymeen, he mentions in regards to guidance, or truth, should I say, al-haq, هو ما أقام عليه الدليل وليس فيما عمله الناس. It's that which has been brought forth in terms of evidence, text. And it's not what the people do. Yeah? The person come and say, the majority of people of Poland do it, so therefore it becomes an act of worship. What did Allah mention? وَإِن تُطِعْ أَكْثَرَ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ يُضِلُّوكَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. And if you were to obey the majority upon the earth, they would, turn you away, misguide you from the path of Allah. So the majority in numbers is not a proof. And then he goes on to say, وَإِنَّمَا هُوَ تَعَصُّبْ مَحَضْ. Verily, this was pure bigotry. They were fanatic towards their آبائهم, for their forefathers. يُرَادُ بِهِ نَصْرَةُ مَا مَعْهُ مِنَ الْبَاطِلِ. So this reasoning, they intended to prop up the falsehood they held. وَلِهَذَا كُلُّ رَسُولٍ يَقُولُ لِمَنْ عَارَضَهُ بِهَذِهِ الشُّبْهَةِ الْبَاطِلَةِ. Therefore, every messenger says to his opponents who hold such falsehoods, أَوَلَوْ جِئْتُكُمْ بِأَهْدَى مِمَّا وَجَدْتُمْ عَلَيْهِ آبَاءَكُمْ. Even if I bring you better guidance than that which you found your forefathers following, أَفَتَتَّبِعُونِ لِأَجْلِ الْهُدَى. Will you now follow me? So I'm going to bring you guidance that which is better than that which your forefathers are upon. Are you now going to follow me for that which is better? قَالُوا إِنَّا بِمَا أُرْسِلْتُمْ بِهِ كَافِرُونَ. Verily, we disbelieve in that which you have been sent with. This is their response. Verily, we disbelieve in that which you have been sent with. فعلم بهذا أنهم ما أرادوا اتباع لحق الهدى. So it's known by way of this that they did not want اتباع الحق. They didn't want to follow the truth, والهدى, or guidance. Yeah? And that's why it's important. As I mentioned, Shaykh Abdul Rahman al-Sa'di, he breaks down words by way of ta'rif. So what is hidayah? What is hidayah? Guidance. This is not found in the book. I'm just going to give it to you anyway. It's very important. Hidayah, guidance. What is guidance? هو معرفة الهدى بالدليل. Very simple. He breaks it in simplistic words by way of definition. Hidayah, guidance, or here, معرفة الهدى بالدليله. معرفة الهدى means knowing huda, guidance, the Quran and Sunnah, by way of its evidences. That is simple. معرفة الهدى بالدليله. معرفة الهدى بالدليله. Knowing guidance, i.e. Quran and Sunnah, by way of its evidences. So you know how to pray by way of proofs in the Quran and the Sunnah and what have you. But there's a very famous statement by Ali ibn Abi Talib, which I wish to bring. He goes on to say, إن الحق والباطل لا يعرفان بأقدار الرجال. Truth and falsehood is not measured by men. Yeah? إن الحق والباطل لا يعرفان. Yeah? بأقدار الرجال. Truth and falsehood are not to be recognized by the measure of men, should I say. اعرف الحق, know the truth, تعرف أهله. Know the truth, and then you will recognize its people. واعرف الباطل, تعرف من أتاه. And know the falsehood, and then you will know the likeness of those who bring it. Yeah? I'll repeat that. إن الحق والباطل لا يعرفان بأقدار الرجال. Verily, truth and falsehood are not recognized by the measure of men. اعرف الحق تعرف أهله. Know the truth and you will recognize its people. اعرف الباطل تعرف من أتاه. And know falsehood and you will recognize those who bring it. And then he brings the ayah, فانظر كيف كان عاقبة المكذبين. And then look, فانظر, look at those that rejected. And what was their عاقبة? What was their, conclusion to those that, were denying this truth. فليحذر هؤلاء أن يستمروا على تكذيبهم فيصيبهم ما أصابهم. Yeah. فليحذر هؤلاء أن يستمروا على تكذيبهم. Yeah, يستمروا على تكذيبهم فيصيبهم ما أصابهم. So let these people be aware not to continue with their rejection, lest the same fate befalls them. So ما تفيده الآيات. So what do these verses somewhat benefit? تثبيت قلب النبي. It affirmed the Prophet Muhammad's heart. Yeah? وأنه ليس بدعا من المردود أقوالهم. So it made the heart of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, firm, solid, and consoled him. Yeah? With what his people are saying is nothing new. All of these statements were said to previous nations and prophets before him. كما أن قومه ليس كما أن قومه ليسوا بدعا من المكذبين. Nor are they a unique series of liars. And also التحذير من مخالفة النبي. التحذير من مخالفة النبي. So it's also a warning against going against the Prophet, peace be upon him's commands. Yeah, as Allah says in the Quran, فَلْيَحْذَرِ الَّذِينَ يُخَالِفُونَ عَنْ أَمْرِهِ أَنْ تُصِيبُهُم فِتْنَةٌ وَيُصِيبُهُم عَذَابٌ عَلِيمٌ. So let there be a warning to those that go against the awamir, the commands of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. That if they go against these commands, amrihi, then a fitna will befall them. Yeah. And that is a, severe punishment. And then he goes on to say, khatr al-taqleed. Khatr al-taqleed. The very dangers of taqleed, the very dangers of blind following. وأنه ليس وأنه من أعظم الصوارف من قبول الحق والهدى And khatar al-taqleed, the dangers of misguidance, or in this case, blind following, أنه من أعظم الصوارف. So basically, it's from the greatest preventative matters or things which turn a person away from guidance and the truth. Yes, and قبول الحق, from accepting the truth and guidance. And that's why Ibn Taymiyyah, he made a very profound statement, Ibn Taymiyyah, about those that turn away from truth. He said, من لم يقبل الحق ابتلاه الله بقبول الباطل. Whosoever didn't accept the truth, then Allah will trial him by way of acceptance of falsehood. Yeah, من لم يقبل الحق ابتلاه الله بقبول الباطل. He said this, that whosoever didn't accept the truth, then Allah will trial him with the acceptance of falsehood. So may Allah, save us from these things. Ameen. ومما يدل على ذلك, and that which is indicative of this, he goes on to say, the muallif, ما في الصحيحين عن سعيد ibn Musayyib عن أبيه, that which is narrated on behalf of Sa'id ibn Musayyib, Sa'id ibn Musayyib. He goes on to say, لما حضرت أبا طالب الوفاة جاءه رسول الله فوجد عنده أبا جهل وعبد الله ibn Abi Umayyah ibn Mughira. So his father said, when Abu Talib was on his deathbed, the messenger visited him and found Abu Jahl and Ibn Abi Umayyah already there. فقال أي عم, he goes on to say, oh uncle, قل لا إله إلا الله, say لا إله إلا الله, كلمة أحاج لك بها عند الله, a word with which I can defend you, yes, in the presence of Allah. If you say this, then I can defend you in the presence of Allah. فقال أبو جهل وعبد الله ibn Umayyah أترغب عن ملة عبد المطلب. So he goes on to say, do you want to turn away from the religion of Abdul Muttalib? He's at the deathbed now, and then one of them goes to him and say, are you going to turn away from the religion of Abdul Muttalib? فلم يزل رسول الله يعرضها عليه ويعود بتلك المقالة. So the messenger kept repeating his proposition. He's saying to say it, he repeated it. And the two men kept repeating what they were saying, and he goes on to say after that, وَأَبَى أَن يَقُولَ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ, and he rejected in saying La ilaha illallah. فقال رسول الله, and then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Wallahi, by Allah, يَسْتَغْفِرَنَّ لَكَ مَا لَمْ عُنْهَا عَنْكَ. So basically he goes on to say, by Allah, I shall seek forgiveness for you unless I am prohibited. And then Allah revealed the ayah, فَأَنزَلَ اللَّهُ مَا كَانَ لِلنَّبِيِّ, it is not appropriate for the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, and those that believe, أَيَسْتَغْفِرُوا, to seek forgiveness, لِلْمُشْرِكِينَ, for the pagans, for the polytheists. So he's prevented. فأنزل الله عن أبي طالب إنك لا تهدي من أحببت. Yeah, Allah mentions إنك لا تهدي من أحببت. Verily, you cannot guide those who you love. ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء. Verily, it's Allah that guides. Yeah, that's the Prophet, peace be upon him. He would say, Allah would say to the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, إنما أنت مذكر لست عليهم بمسيطر. Verily to them, you are only a reminder. You have no authority over them. Yeah? Prophet ﷺ is not in control of the affair of who is guided. That affair is with who, ikhwan? It's with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah? And then he goes on to say, and as you all know, ikhwan, وَمَا عَلَى الرَّسُولِ إِلَّا بَلَاغٌ مُبِينٌ. It's only upon us to convey. The guidance is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah? فأنزل الله, طيب, we read that, قال محمد ibn Abdul Wahhab, المسألة الثامنة مدرة أصحاب السوء على الإنسان. So he brings a mas'ala, he brings a issue at hand. We can see those around Abu Jahl and what have you, they were aswa' suhba. They were the worst of, companions and friends, because they stopped him from saying the Shahadah. Yeah? Or Abu Talib. They stopped him from saying it. Not Abu Jahl, Abu Talib. They stopped him from saying it. What does that go to show? bad friends. And he was upon taqleed. He followed the way of those previous people, those around him. And that's why, as you all know, الرجل على دين خليله فلينظر أحدكم من يخالل. The man is upon the religion of his friends, so look to whom you befriend, because your friends, whether you like it or not, have an influence over you, or to some extent upon you. That's why those who you befriend in the religion, inshallah, they're people of khair, the people of goodness and well-being in regards to Imām. So these are the people that you should have around you. Even if he's a Muslim, it doesn't mean you befriend him, because some Muslims do evil, sah? Yeah? So we have to, take heed from these lessons. Even though these people were kuffar, those around Abu Talib, except Prophet ﷺ, it goes to show that friendship and being upon the way of what they are upon, taqleed, is one of those things in which turn many people away from truth. Yeah. And then he goes on to say, مسألة التاسعة مضرة تعظيم الأسلاف والأكابر. So the ill effects of magnifying the predecessors. And this is what they're doing here. They're magnifying the predecessors of old to make it seem as if effectively it's worth hanging on to. No, it ended them in the hellfire. Yes. So the ill effects of magnifying the predecessors and the leaders. فانظر هدانا الله وإياك. So have a look here. May Allah guide us and yourself. كيف آثر أبو طالب دين آبائه وأجداده. So look how Abu Talib, he affected, or he was affected by the religion of his forefathers and, grandfathers and what have you. وأبى أن يشهد شهادة الحق. And he refused to say the Shahadah, to utter the statement of truth. La ilaha illallah. And then he brings the ayah, إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَذِكْرَى لِمَنْ كَانَ لَهُ قَلْبٌ أَوْ أَلْقَى السَّمْعَ وَهُوَ الشَّهِيدُ. Verily therein is indeed a reminder for him who has a heart or gives ear while he is heedful. And this is the reality. We have to take heed from the lessons at hand. As I always say, Ikhwan, a wise man, he learns from his mistakes, but a wise man learns from other people's mistakes. Take heed from these lessons. Yeah? The taqleed that these people were upon was a wrong taqleed. I'm not talking about in other issues of jurisprudence, fiqh. This is a bit different. We'll go into that maybe another time. But in terms of, following that which your forefathers upon, because, it's my forefather. This isn't, the reality of a true Muslim. إِيَّاكَ أَيُّهَا الْمُسْلِمُ التَّعَصُّبُ الْأَحْمَقُ وَالتَّقْلِيدُ الْأَعْمَى. So he goes on to say, إِيَّاكَ, be aware, O Muslim, التَّعَصُّبُ الْأَحْمَقُ, pure bigotry, pure, stupidity and just following for the sake of following. وَالتَّقْلِيدُ الْأَعْمَى, and likewise blind following. قَوْلُوا إِنَّهُمْ كَانُوا إِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ لَا إِلَهَ اللَّهِ. And when it was said to them, say La ilaha illallah, فَدُعُوا إِلَيْهَا وَأُمُرُوا بِتَرْكِ الْإِلَهِيَّ مَا سِوَاهُ يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ عَنْهَا وَعَلَى مَنْ جَاءَ بِهَا. And they were ordered not to adopt any other god. They were called to this and they were ordered not to adopt any god. They puffed themselves up with pride. يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ against it and whoever brought them this message. وَيَقُولُونَ مَعَارِضَةً لَهَا. And they said, out of just rejecting it and just, turning away from it, إِنَّا لَتَارِكُ آلِهَتِنَا. Are we going to leave off our previous deities? In opposition, are we going to just leave off those that which came before us and their deities? التي لم نزل نعبد. Okay, طيب. يعنون محمدا, and they intended Muhammad. فلم يكفيهم قبحهم الله لأعرض عنه ولا مجرد تكذيبه حتى حكموا عليه بأفضل من الأحكام. So it was not sufficient for them. Yeah? May Allah disgrace them. So they didn't just want to turn away from the truth. What did they try to do? They tried to wholesomely somewhat ruin the picture, the surah of Islam. They turned away from him. And they didn't just simply disbelieve in him. He goes on to say, therefore Allah came and contradicted them, disapproved of their sayings and refuted their fabrications in the ayah. So obviously they would make up lies about Prophet Muhammad, شاعر مجنون call him a mad poet. وهم يعلمون أنه لا يعرفون الشعر والشعراء. And they knew that Prophet Muhammad عليه الصلاة والسلام didn't happen to be a poet or know poetry. ولا وصفهم. Neither did he have the character of one. وأنه أعقل الخلق لله وأعظم رأيا. And he was the most sound in reasoning from the creation of Allah. وأعظم رأيا. And the greatest, in opinion. وقلت وهذا الصنيع من المشركين لإعراض والترك. And this is, the doing, this is the work of the pagans at that time in turning away and just leaving off the message. This is what their bad doings. وأنه أقبح ساليب في الصد عن سبيل الله. And this is from the, most disgraceful methods in turning away from the path of Allah. ولهذا كذبهم الحق. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he contradicted them in this. وَنَقَّصَ قَوْلَهُم. And he, disapproved of their sayings. وَضَحَدَ فِرْيَتَهُمْ فِي الْآيَةِ. And refuted their fabrications. And then he mentions the ayah, بَلْ جَاءَ بِالْحَقِّ وَصَدَّقَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. Yes. بَلْ جَاءَ بِالْحَقِّ وَصَدَّقَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. Nay, he has come with the truth and he has confirmed the messengers. وَصَدَّقَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. And he goes on to mention, what does this mean here? وَصَدَّقَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. He has confirmed the messengers. قال حافظ ابن كثير. Ibn Kathir mentions, قال تعالى تكذيبا لهم ردا عليهم. He goes on to say that it was in relation to disapproving their sayings and refuting them. بل جاء بالحق. Nay, or basically, he's come with the truth. بل جاء بالحق. He's come with the truth. يعني رسول الله جاء بالحق في جميع شريعة الله. In all of the legislations in regards to Allah. So Prophet ﷺ, he came with a legislation for every affair. How to go to the toilet, how to get married, how to do Hajj, how to give charity, how to call to Islam, how to refute batil, how to call non-Muslims to Islam and what have you. All of the laws are found in the Sharia. And then he goes on to say, في جميع شريعة الله تعالى له من الأخبار والطلب. In regards to commands and news. وصدق المرسلين. And he confirms the messengers. أي صدقهم فيما أخبروا عنه من الصفات الحميدة ومناهج السديدة وأخبر عن الله في شرعه وأمره. So confirming all that they said about his good character, correct path, and all that is related from Allah. And obviously the Prophet ﷺ, when he would do this, he did this with the best of manners, as you all know. Allah mentions in the Quran, what's it called again, subhanAllah? فبرحمة من الله لنت لهم ولو كنت فظا غليظ القلب لانفضوا من حولك. فبما رحمة من الله لنت لهم ولو what's it called? ولو كنت غليظ what's it called again? Say the ayah again. ولو كنت فظا غليظ القلب لانفضوا من حولك. جزاك الله خير. So if it wasn't by the mercy of Allah, فبما رحمة من الله لنت لهم, if it wasn't from the mercy of Allah that you will soften them, لنت لهم لانفضوا من حولك, they would have, fled from around you. It was from the mercy that you were kind and and you weren't غليظ القلب, you didn't have a hard of heart sort of nature with the people. They would have flown from around them, but you were soft with them. And then he goes on to say, كما أخبر ما يقال لك إلا قد قيل للرسل من قبلك. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned nothing that was said to you except the reality being that it was said to the messengers before you. ومن السنة ما ثبت عن أبي موسى لفظه البخاري. So now we're going to get to the actual hadith that I mentioned in the very beginning. مثل ما بعثني الله به من الهدى والعلم. So the similitude of that which has come through me by way of guidance and knowledge. The similitude of guidance and knowledge with which Allah has revealed through me. It's quite a long, lengthy hadith, but it's nice. So the evidence quoted by the compiler, قلت ووجه الاستدلال المصنف به يظهر من قولي. So it becomes more apparent from his saying, فذلك من فقه في الدين الله ونفعه ما بعثني الله به. So the first example he goes on to say is that of a person who comprehends Allah's religion and gets benefit from the ilm which has been revealed to Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. وَمَثَلُ مَنْ لَمْ يَرْفَأْ بِذَلِكَ رَأْسًا. It's also the likeliness of the man who neither raises his head on account of X, Y, and Z. وَلَمْ يَقْبَلْ هَدَى اللَّهِ الَّذِي أُرْسِلْتُ بِهِ. Meaning he does not benefit from what the Prophet was sent with. Yeah? Nor accepts Allah's guidance with which, I have been sent. قال النووي. So Imam Nawawi, he has commentary upon this تعليق on هذا الحديث. أما معاني الحديث ومقصوده. So as for the meanings of this very narration and its intent, فهو تمثيل الهدى الذي جاء به بالغيث. Basically, he is likening the reality of guidance with water, rain, بالغيث. Yeah? تمثيل الهدى الذي جاء به بالغيث. So he is likening, resembling guidance to غيث, rain. وأن الأرض ثلاثة أنواع, and that the earth is of three types. وأن الأرض ثلاثة أنواع وكذلك الناس. So that the earth is of three types, and also are the people. وكذلك الناس. فالنوع الأول من الأرض. The first type from the earth he goes on to mention here. ينتفع بالمطر فيحيا بعد أن كان ميتا. So the first type of soil or earth he brings an example with benefits from the rain. It benefits from the rain and comes to life. So the first type of soil or earth benefits from the rain and comes to life, having been dormant, meaning having been somewhat dead and barren. There was nothing there before. فَيُنْبِتُ الْكَلَاء. So vegetation grows by way of this. Yeah, vegetation grows by way of this. فَتَنْتَفِعُ بِهَا النَّاسُ وَالدَّوَابُ وَالزَّرْعُ وَغَيْرُهَا. So by way of that, benefiting man and beast, plants and what have you. Yeah? So basically, look, نوع الأول من الأرض ينتفع بالمطر فيحيا بعد أن كان ميتا. So basically, the first type of soil, it benefits from the rain and comes to life. There'll be like a barren land, there'll be nothing there. The rain hits it, it brings forth life, vegetation, and likewise, that vegetation benefits man and beast, yeah, and plants and what have you. وكذلك النوع الأول من الناس يبلغه الهدى والعلم فيحفظه فيحيا قلبه ويعمل به. So likewise, the first person receives guidance and knowledge. The first person, the example being, he receives guidance and knowledge, learns it, and his heart, what happens to his heart? It comes alive. Like when the rainwater in the first example hits the soil, what happens to the soil? It brings forth vegetation. Yeah? Brings it alive after being dead. Likewise, this is similar to when knowledge hits the heart of the believer. What happens to the heart of the believer? It comes alive. This is the first type. وَيُعَلِّمْ غَيْرُهُ فَيَنْتَفِعْ وَيَنْفَعْ. And likewise, with that heart which is alive, it's hay, he benefits and likewise benefits others. You see the example? What happens when vegetation grows on dormant land, dead land? Man and beast benefit from the vegetation. Yeah? Likewise, the animals eat from it and they grow healthy and strong, and then you're able to eat the animals. You see the example here? Likewise, when the qalb of a mu'min, a Muslim, is alive, he learns it, and the people benefit from his ilm, and likewise he benefits. That's the first example. Is that understood, yeah? وَالنُّوعُ الثَّانِي مِنَ الْأَرْضِ. And the second type of soil, ما لا تقبل انتفاع في نفسها. The second type of soil benefits لكن فيها فائدة وهي إمساك المال. لكن فيها فائدة وهي إمساك المال لغيرها. So basically, second type of soil benefits, but it's barren. Yeah? But it has an advantage. فيها فائدة. It has an advantage. That of holding the water. إمساك الماء. It will hold the water for others. فينتفع بها الناس والدواب. Thus benefiting man and beast. So the second type, yeah, ما لا تقبل الانتفاع في نفسها. It doesn't actually benefit itself, but it holds water. It holds it, benefiting others, and likewise beast and man and vegetation. It doesn't actually benefit from it itself, but it holds it for others. وهكذا النوع الثاني من الناس لهم قلوب حافظة. So the second type of people, يعني they have hearts that hold knowledge. ولهم قلوب حافظة. They have hearts which hold knowledge. لكن ليست لهم أفهام ثاقبة ولا رسوخ لهم في العقل. But they don't have insight and judgment. ليس لهم أفهام ثاقبة ولا رسوخ لهم في العقل. So these people, like I mentioned, they hold knowledge, إمساك الماء. They actually hold the water, like how they hold knowledge, but they don't possess judgment and insight. في العقل, in reason. يستنبطون به المعاني والأحكام. So they don't have the ability, by way of what they hold, to extract benefits and rulings and what have you. Yeah? وليس عندهم اجتهاد في الطاعة والعمل به. Nor do they practice ta'ah. They don't practice obedience. وهم يحفظونه. So they just memorize. So they don't have ta'ah, they don't have obedience, or act in accordance with what they have learned. Can you see what's happening here? They just hold the water, like how some people just hold knowledge. They're not acting in accordance to obedience, which that knowledge is indicative of. Yeah? حتى يأتي طالب محتاج متعطش لما عندهم من العلم أهل للنفع والانتفاع فيأخذه منهم فينتفع به هؤلاء نفع بما بلغهم. So he goes on to say, so this is like when a needy student of knowledge, thirsty for true knowledge, yeah? He comes and is able to benefit himself and others acquire their knowledge, i.e. from him, and benefit from it. Then this kind of people have benefited others from what has reached them, he goes on to say. This is the example of that. والنوع الثالث من الأرض السباخ التي لا تنبت ونحوها فهي لا تنتفع بالماء ولا تمسكه لينتفع به غيرها. So the third type is soil, which is barren and nothing grows within it. It neither benefits from water nor holds it, so that others can benefit from it. So the last one is basically a person, yeah, similar to that which is barren land, it's dormant, nothing grows in it. It neither benefits from the water, it can't even hold water, nor holds it, so others could benefit from it. والنوع الثالث من الناس ليست لهم قلوب حافظة ولا أفهام واعية. So the third person, kind of mentioned here, or in the parable given, ليست لهم قلوب حافظة. They don't have hearts which hold knowledge, ولا أفهام واعية. Neither do they have, true understanding. They don't have any ability to fathom much. Yeah? No true intelligence. فإذا سمعوا العلم, and if they hear knowledge, لا ينتفعون به. They don't benefit from it. ولا يحفظونه, and neither do they memorize it. لنفع غيره or لنفع غيرهم والله أعلم. Nor do they learn it or to likewise benefit others. So we've seen that. Do they understand the three parables given, or the parable given within the three types? And lastly, وفي هذا الحديث أنواع من العلم منها. And from this very hadith, there are types of knowledge which we can extract from it. He goes on to say, ضرب الأمثال, which is, like I mentioned, examples and parables. Yeah? Because as I've mentioned, you probably seen Shimsi Hafizullah mentioned this a few times. Allah, when He addresses the people, He doesn't use big istilahat, terminologies. He uses parables. For example, Allah mentions, are those that know similar to those that don't know? Simple. Basit jiddan. When they talk about equality and whatnot and giving everyone an opinion, especially in the West, they always like to speak about giving everyone an opinion, what have you. So even the one that doesn't know, he should have an opinion. Is that just? You see? You see what happens? What happens at times when people just allow their aql to do the thinking rather than Allah, the Most High, give judgment? Allah gives a very basic parable. Are those who know similar to those that don't know? Basit jiddan. And the kuffar, what do they come in with? Give everyone an opinion. So those that don't know and those that do know become similar. Same level. This is batil, it's falsehood. So basically, the hadith is indicative of darb al-amthal. Yeah? It's indicative of proverbs. Have you ever heard of this old proverb? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Have you heard of that before? It's an Arab proverb. Yeah? This is what proverbs are. Yeah? Basically, a wise saying, providing guidance. Obviously, in this particular example at hand, it's not just any old wise saying, it's the statement of the one that received revelation from the Most High. Yeah? وَمِنْهَا فَضْلُ الْعِلْمُ التَّعْلِيمِ. And the second benefit from this hadith is the merit of ilm, knowledge, and teaching it to others. وَشِدَّةُ الْحَثَ عَلَيْهِمَا. And likewise, vigorously urging others to acquire knowledge. This is why here at the masjid, alhamdulillah, we acquire people to learn knowledge. I know it's a long, sort of treacherous road to ascertain knowledge, but it's well worth it in the end, because the reality of knowledge, you don't always see the true fruits manifest immediately. And I say this to the brothers all the time. The true fruits of knowledge don't always manifest immediately. It's like when you plant a seed in the ground and you water it. It doesn't always, pop up to be a palm tree within a week. Sah? It takes time. And this is the reality of knowledge. You lay the foundations, aqidah, manhaj, yeah, fahm al-salim, correct methodology and what have you. And then you, over time, allow it to grow, being watered by correct knowledge. And this is how, your knowledge will grow, inshallah ta'ala. All of ours, all of the knowledge that, we possess, if we, water it with the correct methods, sit with the ulama, Quran, Orthodox Islam, Salafiyya, manhaj al-salim, correct methodology. This is how the knowledge grows, yeah? وَذَمْ الْإِعْرَاضِ عَنِ الْعِلْمِ. And likewise, the fourth one from the benefits of this narration, this hadith, censoring those who turn away from knowledge. Somewhat blaming, look, how can you turn away from knowledge? It's like nowadays everyone's after dunya. No doubt the dunya has some khair in it, but also some shar. It's like those that, always after dunya. When you tell them, I'm not really trying to go after, this amount of money, they start going after you as if like you disbelieved in Allah and the Messenger. No. The reality is, how come you don't attend and listen to the knowledge being relayed? This is the true reality. And as the Prophet ﷺ, what did he mention? مَنْ يُرِيدِ اللَّهُ بِهِ خَيْرًا يُفَقِّهُ فِي الدِّينِ. Whosoever Allah wishes good for, He gives him understanding of the religion. Yeah? يُفَقِّهُ فِي الدِّينِ. And the inverted meaning, the mafhum mukhalif, the inverted meaning of this very narration is that whosoever Allah does not want good for, He doesn't give him good understanding of the religion. Yeah? That's the inverted meaning of this hadith. And as Shaykh Ubaid, may Allah preserve him, he mentioned the actual meaning of the hadith is أَن يَجْعَلَهُ عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ. Meaning that He makes the person who understands the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala well, He gives him insight, true understanding. He fathoms, he sees the detail, he knows how to relay that knowledge. And on that note there, ونكتفي بهذا القدر وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. جزاكم الله خير.